for September 7th, 2022. Let's see who's here. I'm here, Lucas Thomas, Chairman. Dabney Bowen, Vice Chair, is here. Richard Boucher, Secretary, is here. Brian McCann is here. Jay Fain is here. Peter Hood is here. And Cato Mahoney is here. And I am going to appoint Cato Mahoney as a member to vote for tonight. Yes. Okay. On all matters. Good. Now we're at the approval of the draft meeting minutes. Those are the meeting minutes for August 3rd of the Conservation Commission, minutes of the Inland Wetlands Agency. Any commissioners have any questions or corrections or issues with the minutes themselves? No? We get a motion to approve. Peter, and a second. Richard, all in favor? Aye. Okay. The agenda does have the next item to be the public hearings, but I will, I'll be changing it up just for just switching 5 with 4. So now it's the applications for discussion. The first one being number 1, WP-22-169 Hudson 875 Mill Hill Road. Map 228, parcel 95, installation of a curtain drain and deposition of fill in the rear yard and construction of an in-ground pool within a regulated area. Last day for public hearing and decision is August 5th. The last regular meeting prior is August 3rd. However, an extension was granted until October 5th, 2022. And 2 things going on here. One, at the last meeting, it wasn't up for a public hearing. The commissioners voted for a public hearing, and so they do have to do the public hearing. They did ask for some time for that, but also their counsel, I think, was in the hospital or something, either yesterday or maybe even today. So this is just going to go off, and it will be a public hearing, but that'll be on October 5th. Okay. And number 2, WP-22-205 Berkeley Road LLC. 277, 291, and 301 Berkeley Road, map 42, parcel 57A, 57, and 56, construction of multi-unit residential apartment development with associated parking facilities within a regulated area. The staff recommends approval with conditions. If commissioners will recall, this was a public hearing. We had the public hearing closed, and since then there was a report by our staff, by Tim, and then I think because of that, there was a response by the applicant. I'll ask Tim to go over the report briefly, and maybe that you can tell us what the applicant provided before, and then we're going to vote. Okay? Yes. It's closed. This is just our discussion amongst ourselves. It's not really new material in the sense that it was a request by us at the time about to look into, if you recall, does water go underneath? We're okay with, when we also checked with town attorneys. It's in response to the staff's report. So that's the only reason it's, yeah. Okay. Okay, Tim, thank you.
Thank you. The department received a report from Land Tech dated September 1st, 2022. There was the results of the investigation were at the request of the department to conduct an investigation and further explore the information that was provided during the public hearing of the possibility of a water course, intermittent water course, piped water course at the rear of the parcel, possibly overlapping 1 or more parcels. The investigation was conducted by Land Tech in the sense that they explored the location that was described, and they concluded in their report that includes photos that it does not meet the definition of any type of water course, whether it be intermittent piped or otherwise. That was based on, the definition itself of watercourse not meeting, no hydric soils, no fluvial characteristics. The photographs, in my opinion, support that. And it's described in the report that it's believed to be an old gray water drain for residents that were constructed prior to and subsequently demolished prior to the existing residents that exist today. That gray water drain, typically includes discharges from washer machines, sump pumps, stuff like that. And that letter was received by the department from the applicant's consultant again on September 1st.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, we can discuss amongst ourselves. There could be a motion to approve. It's now it's up to us to decide on it. Any questions? Any motion to approve the application as presented? Can you press the, yeah,
I thought that we were presented with good information, both from the applicant and from the neighbors. I think everybody had a chance to speak about the application and give their opinions on thought about it. A lot of it didn't have to do with the wetlands, but there were some comments on the wetlands. I thank Tim for following up on the drain situation, and I think that was something that was worth looking into. But boiling it all down, as far as I heard at the public hearing, there was no evidence that would suggest that there would be any direct impact to wetlands from the project proposal.
okay. Any other commissioners, any other comments?
I just want to, repeat myself. I used to walk a dog in the neighborhood years ago. It's my opinion that the entire street is wet. I understand that may not come under the definition of wetlands, but it's a very wet area. My recollection is anytime I walked by, the yards were wet. I remember you'd see wildfowl in the backyards floating around. That's just my experience, and that's kind of stuck with me.
Thank you, Commissioner. Ma'am, yes, Kate?
I just wanted to talk about the subsurface level spreader. At the last meeting, they were saying that at the 100-year storm, they were going to have 24% retention of rainwater runoff, and this Rooster River is a known problematic watershed. In 2006, a 25-year flood damaged over 60 homes and businesses, and the 2019 storm with 6.8 inches of rain was really catastrophic to the Rooster River. So I do think the fact that this is abutting a problematic watershed that the town is already facing multi-million-dollar mitigation to try to remedy the problems we're already having with storm runoff gives me pause about this application.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other comments? Yes, Commissioner.
My only concern was just that it just seemed like the edge of part of the pavement toward that, I don't know the bearing, but the edge of pavement to that pocket of wetlands on the side of the parcel was a little bit proximate. It didn't leave a lot of room for, sheet flow off or, renovation of the stormwater coming down into and I believe according to the grading plan, it was a fairly steep slope coming off that because the site was lower coming down off the street, which had to be brought up by a considerable amount of fill, maybe 5 or 6 feet. That was my only concern.
Thank you. Anything further? Any motion that we could vote on? Because I can't start a motion, so. By doing a motion doesn't mean you agree to it. You can just do a motion and then we vote on it. But I simply can't do it as the chairman. So if somebody can do a motion, and if it's seconded, then we can vote, or if it's a motion and it's, or have more discussion. Yeah. Motion to approve. Anybody second? You'll second, Jay. Okay. We can have further discussion now that the motion's on the floor. I apologize. We're still, we did buy new things, so we got to figure them out. So we can, bear with us.
I would, recommend that it be subject to all the conditions that the staff had included in their staff report. And there was, I think, a number of important items, including the inclusion of pervious pavement into the design. And I would also include in the motion that although this drain has been investigated somewhat, I would recommend that it be investigated further, that the presence of it be made aware to the engineering department, and if it needs to be rerouted or mitigated in any way, shape, or form, that would be included as part of our approval.
I want to thank Brian for reminding us. I'm really uncomfortable with the proximity of the curb to the wetlands. It's just something I'm really uncomfortable with. It's just pushing it down to within feet. Doesn't mean it's worthy of a negative opinion
Sure.
on my part, but I just want that out there.
Can I ask Peter a question?
Yes.
Do you feel that we should include a condition to pull it back further, or you leave it as it is, or you just feel like you just want to say you're uncomfortable with it?
If I had my way, I would push it back. I'm not asking the rest of you to agree with that.
Okay.
It's literally feet away, and this seems to be the way with most of these projects.
If I may, I
Yes,
agree.
please, Commissioner.
I agree with Peter, but it's historically been a complex, wet piece of property. And I think the reason some of us are hesitant to question it tonight is because of that, because of the past that's there and the action that's proposed on this piece of property. I'm not a soil scientist or a hydrologist, but I agree with some of the commissioners that it's inherently wet, and there's an awful lot of activity that's going to be taking place to redirect that or to change that. So I agree with Commissioner Hood. I am uncomfortable with it also.
I would just say that doesn't have anything to do with the rest of the street. I'm not comfortable with that if the project was somewhere else. It's just a feeling on my part, but it's not related to the wetness I'm talking about on the road, just so we're clear on that.
So as I understand it, make the record clear. There's a motion that's been seconded for the approval of the application with the staff recommendations. If a commissioner would like to amend that motion to add something along with that, it would be an amendment, and then we vote on it. And then it would be, now we have a new motion on the floor. So if somebody wants to do that, you can.
I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't really been in favor of this application from the beginning, but if we can pull the curb back, I would be far more comfortable with it. I think the question is how far back. So if anyone has any suggestions on that, I'm all ears.
That would make a
So-
big difference to me too, but
So-
I want to be certain that we vote on the initial motion first, without the condition, unless we agree that it's only going to be voted on with the condition change.
I just have a question.
Right now, it's out there just as it
Right,
is.
so a commissioner would have to make a motion to amend the original motion on the floor to add the 4-foot pullback or whatever you guys, however somebody wants
I'm
to.
just saying that I wouldn't support that absent a first vote.
How do I get? So Pete, well, any commissioner can amend any motion that the motion's on the floor. It doesn't have to be Commissioner Fain. So we would be voting on it all at the same time. So it would be the original motion to approve with the staff's condition. That's what's here now. If you were to make a motion to say, I want to amend that original motion to add this 4-foot pullback in that area, and Tim, we can clean up the language, once we do that, that's one motion, and we would all vote on that together. So it wouldn't be yes, approve, but then do another motion just for that. It would be all one motion. And so the motion would end up being, if you were to, or somebody else were to amend it or ask to amend the motion, it would be approval with the staff conditions, but as amended with a 4-foot pullback in that rear corner.
Isn't it true that I remember a few months ago, we had a motion to place an item on land records immediately? We voted to reject that, and then we had a second motion to put it on land records after 90 days. And that's kind of what I was thinking of. The first was rejected, and then there was another motion put forth, which was on the same issue, but with a different time frame attached, which we approved.
Yeah, I don't
Remember-
think you asking us to.
I'm just saying,
deny the application.
I'm just saying, no.
Yeah. You'll move to amend?
That way.
Okay, so
There's no
would anybody second Commissioner McCain's motion to amend the original motion to add the 4-foot pullback language? Commissioner Fain seconds that. So what we have on the floor right now is a motion to approve with the staff recommendations, in addition to a condition of this agency that the applicant pull that rear corner in by 4 feet.
I
Yes,
had, in my motion, it also included the further investigation of the subsurface drain and proper mitigation.
And let's agree on the corner, just so we're
yeah,
left.
It's-
I'm just saying.
it's the northeast corner. It's a northeast corner and the original motion did include, so I apologize for that, did include that the applicant would do the appropriate testing, and if it finds that there is a waterway or watercourse or wetlands there, they would mitigate properly.
It's, it would most likely be a underground pipe system, but I don't want to make sure if they cut it off, it doesn't back up onto the neighbor's property. So they would reroute it, mitigate it, whatever they have to do, so it doesn't affect the neighbor, upgrade in neighbor
Okay.
property.
Okay, I just want to be care of. So Sarah, do you have our motion or no? Oh, Teresa, do you have our motion? Teresa, do you have any questions? Because I want to get it right, because if we vote and it does get passed, the applicant needs to know what we're talking about. Yes, right, that's what I want to do that.
Also, can I just get clarification to the staff? Conditions include the pervious pavement or not?
Yes,
The
it
park-
does.
It does, okay.
Yep. Okay. I will do it one more time, just so we're all clear. So we have a motion by Commissioner Fain to approve with all the staff conditions plus his extra conditions. Yeah, well, no, that's Commissioner Fain's conditions are the water course pipe thing.
Water, the
And-
underground water pipe.
Yeah, the underground water thing. And then it's been amended by Commissioner McCain to pull back the northeast corner section by 4 feet. And yours was seconded by Commissioner Fain. So now that's it. That's the motion. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4 in favor. All opposed? 3 opposed. That's Dabney and Peter and Kate opposed. Okay. That's it. Carries. Thank you. That was fun. Yeah. All right, so now we'll go back to the order. We're gonna go back to. Oh.
I don't know how you do it. I really don't.
All right, so we're back to 4 public hearings. We'll start with number 1, WP-22-226 Fitzpatrick 80 Hubble Lane, map 173, parcel 26. Construction of a single-family dwelling with stormwater detention and subsurface sewage disposal system within a regulated area. So this is a public hearing, so the decision may be made if the public hearing is completed, or the hearing may be continued. The original 35-day public hearing timeframe to complete the hearing ends October 12th. A 65-day extension may be provided by the applicant. So a further public hearing continuation to December 16th, 2022 is possible. And a potential continuation date is October 5th, 2022. The staff recommends approval with conditions. So as it's a public hearing, I'll have the applicant approach and begin their counsel. Thank you, and please begin. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Bill Kenny. I'm the principal of William Kenny Associates in Fairfield, Connecticut at 1899 Bronson Road. I am a professional wetland scientist and soil scientist and was retained by the applicant to help with this application. We have conducted an inspection of the site to review the wetlands and the adjacent regulated upland review area, and then also to review the proposed development and to look at existing and proposed conditions as they relate to wetlands and watercourses, and come to a conclusion with regard to potential impacts to those resources. We have completed that, and our summary, we do find that there are no impacts to the wetlands or watercourses from the proposed activities, and I'll go through why I've concluded that. The property is a 2-acre property. It's just north of Hubble Lane. Hubble Lane runs west to east, and the wetland is located on the property in the north end. Property slopes gently from east to west, and the wetland does as well. It extends and flows east to west through the northern portion of the property. It's a classic red maple forested wetland. This type of gently sloping wetland with a hard pan soil is on the drier end of a typical or of other wetlands. Wetlands can have quite a bit of range from being very wet with standing water, foot of water or more, to areas where you just have saturated soils for a short period of time during any particular year. And that saturation extends to within a foot of the surface. And this wetland is one of those wetlands that tends to be on the drier end, and many months of the year is relatively dry. Because it's sloping, that also affects its ability to perform some wetland functions. Its primary function is groundwater discharge because it's sloping, so groundwater is intercepted by the wetland and discharged. But due to that, it is not a good wetland for groundwater recharge. It's not a good wetland for controlling floodwater flows because it's sloping. So when water moves through this wetland, it just continues to make its way through. There's some small pockets of areas where you might get some detention, but overall it doesn't hold a lot of water. Its vegetation is mostly a transitional vegetation. The vegetation that you find here you'd find half the time in an upland, half the time in a wetland. So it's a very transitional area. But nonetheless, it is a wetland. It's a watercourse worthy of protection. The development is proposed in the southern portion of the property. It's one single-family home with a driveway, relatively modest structure, modest driveway. It's just a driveway straight up to the garage, no big loop or parking court or anything like that. There is not a pool or a tennis court proposed, very simple application. So you have your dwelling, access to it. You have a subsurface sanitary disposal system that's proposed for your sanitary discharge, and then you have a stormwater management system. Water is provided by public water main in the road. The amount of impervious that's proposed is about 6% of the site. It's very minimal, somewhere just over 5,000 square feet. And impervious, as you likely know, is critical to stormwater management and affecting how water moves through a property. And so that could have an effect on a wetland. What's interesting on this property is that the development area does not drain to the wetland itself. Because the property slopes and drains east to west, and because the wetland's to the north, any water that would drain off of the proposed development drains to the residential development to the west. There's 3 other houses and driveways and yards before you get to a wetland several hundred feet or more to the west where there's Brown's Brook. So the potential for an impact to the on-site wetland with the setback that's provided, we're providing an 83-foot undisturbed setback buffer. There's really no potential for an impact from this development. There's no activity proposed in the wetland itself. And the other activities that are proposed, the water from those activities flow away from the wetland and not to the wetland. Then the water is being collected and treated and cleaned, irregardless of whether or not it's flowing to that wetland, regardless. Yep. So based on those conditions, the existing conditions, the proposed conditions, it's my professional opinion that this proposed development will not adversely affect the wetland on the site or wetlands off-site as well.
Thank you. Yeah, are you just, yeah. Right.
I understand there were 4 wetland delineations performed on this parcel, including 2 by yourself. Can you discuss the differences between them and how you ended up with the one you, and then I don't know if you have a composite map that shows the different ones or.
It's a good question. I do not have a composite map this evening. This type of wetland system on a gently sloping site so you don't have distinct breaks in topography on this property, and it's a gently sloping wetland, and you have a hard pan soil. The transition from a non-wetland soil to a wetland soil is very gradual. And Jay has run into this, I'm sure, with his work as a soil scientist. Back location of a wetland, you get different opinion. I'll see if I. If you don't mind, I'll take a minute to review this, or maybe
I don't have no idea what the previous ones were, so I have no idea more or less. I just read staff report that there were 4 different, I think going back to 87 or even possibly before.
Just for the record, we had that, staff had that in an old file that we brought tonight.
Testify and then let Mr. Kenny take a look at these 2 maps at
Sure,
the same time and then
That-
come back and address
that would-
Commissioner Fain's question.
sure, that'd be fine. Commissioner, you may check it. Yeah,
Great, I'm sorry to spring it on, but I just wanted to get an answer.
no, that's okay, yeah.
Thank you, Bill, temporarily. At this point, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to introduce Mr. Michael Baturla, professional engineer with Huntington Company of Fairfield. Michael outlined the proposed storm drainage system and septic system and discuss the possible effect of these systems on properties, on off-site properties.
Okay.
Michael?
Yes, that's great. Mr. Petrilla, if I might, there's push on it in front of that little, if you can push that while you're talking, I apologize, the system, you need to actively keep it down so that it's recorded and that people can hear you. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Michael Baturla. I'm a licensed land surveyor, licensed professional engineer here in Connecticut, also a member of the Huntington Company, and our office is here in town in Fairfield. I've worked on this project for the past maybe 15 years, part of the creation of the maps that are in the file. As the view from the different departments have stated, we conform to the health department. I reduced the runoff for each storm from the 2-year storm to up to the 100 storm. Again, as the review says, we started out with a rain garden, an open rain garden, and staff asked us if we can convert it into chambers. So we used a 2-foot-high concrete galley, which worked out good. And we met the requirement of this commission's two-year storm. Our post 10-year storm is less than the pre-2-year storm. Again, it's one of the requirements of your commission. We did test holes on this property, reviewed by the health department. Our septic plan was reviewed by them and accepted. Again, I designed the stormwater system, reviewed by the engineering department and approved. There was the slope, we talked about the slope of the property. Our slope of the property goes from east to west. As you look at the map, from right to left, change in elevation of about 10 feet. Did test holes on this property and surrounding properties throughout the years. I noticed that there were 2 letters in your file by neighbors. One was adjacent to our east. So as you look at the map, 501 Mine Hill Road is to our right. And then there was a letter from number 1 Hubble Lane. And as you look at the map, it's to the south and to the east. That's on the corner of Hubble and Mine Hill on the southerly side. If you study the town maps, the town topographic maps, the town wetlands maps, the slope of this neighborhood is from east to west. From east to west. And we're west of our adjacent neighbor, and we're north of our neighbor that's to the south. So the land slopes, as you look at the map, from right to left. It was concerned on water table. On our particular lot, I dug holes back in June of 2004. My opinion and the opinion of the health department, spring high water was between 24 and 30 inches from the ground. Also dug holes July of 2021, and we confirmed, because it was witnessed by the health department, spring high water was 24 to 30 inches. And as you know, the Huntington Company's been in business for 101 years. They didn't have to go that far back. At 501 Mine Hill Road, which is our adjacent neighbor to the right side, there were test holes done in December of 08. Spring high water was found at 36 inches, which is more or less consistent with what I found on the subject lot. And also in September of 2020, results were about the same, Number 1 Hubble Lane, the one to our southeast that sits on the corner. Again, there was a letter in your file. Test holes were done in April. Oops. Test holes were done in 2004 at number 1 Hubble Lane, not by my office, but a professional engineer out of Norwalk. And spring high water was found at 24 to 30 inches. So those 3 lots, and also the lot that Mr. Suarez owns to the west, to the left, spring high water was found and witnessed by myself and the health department to be at about 24 to 30 inches. So I think the neighbors are overly concerned. Again, the septic system conforms to the State of Connecticut Health Code. The stormwater system does its job in reducing the runoffs from all storms, from the 2-year storm to the 100-year storm. And we knocked down the post 10-year storm to be less than the pre 2-year storm that's required by this commission. Any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. Yep.
Commissioner Fain? Commissioner, thank you.
Regarding the drainage system, this isn't the, exactly the house that's going to be built, correct? This is a generic house?
I'm
or-
sorry, go ahead.
Excuse me?
As most of the time it is. So if we get a permit from this commission, we'll either build a house that'll fit in the footprint, because if the footprint changes, we need to bring it back to staff. And if staff deems that it's not similar to what was approved, it comes back to your commission. So anything that doesn't look like what's presented to you and hopefully approved by you would have to come back for your review and approval.
I'm trying to avoid that, so I guess the question I had is, would you have any objection to have, if the house change or the location or the shape change, would you do a specific drainage plan for that particular residence rather than a generic one?
We would have to.
Good. I just wanted
That's
to keep that for the-
not because you mentioned it today, but that's required by engineering, and it's always been that way.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other questions, Commissioners?
Mr. Bertola, I'm curious as to why there is the 1,250 gallon septic tank and the pump were positioned in the front of the house on the southern end of the property and pumped
Gail,
east.
I'm sorry?
Why there was a need to install the septic tank and pump that to the field on the east, to the leaching field on the east?
Because of the water, because of the water table that we were concerned of and what's required by the health department and the state health code, we had to keep the bottom of the septic system at a high elevation. And as I say, the lot slopes from east to west, right to left. So that right side of the lot is higher than where the front of the house is shown. So I can't go from the house to the tank to the system because it's going uphill. So I needed a pump. And a 1,250 gallon septic tank is required by the health department, and a 1,000 gallon pump chamber,
May I?
is to house the pump, to pump the liquid effluent up to the leaching fields.
To follow up with that question,
Mhm.
so the septic tank and the pump chamber are within the 83-foot Brown Brook watershed in the front of the building. That's correct, right?
Yes, there's
Okay.
wetlands. If you look at your wetlands map or the maps on record, there's
Okay.
wetlands across the street also.
And it's going from right to left, so that's why that's one of the issues, is that correct? The slope? Right.
Yeah, the slope of the lot is from right to left, east to west.
Is it-
And the septic system is on the high part of the lot to ensure that we're not in the water table. So I even lifted
Right.
the bottom of the system even higher.
Is it possible to put it behind the property there's a marking here called TH-4A.
Yeah, those are all test holes.
Okay, so I'm wondering why, if it's some sort of, I'm assuming the pump chamber and pump is some sort of electronic device that is a pump. Wouldn't- wouldn't-
Electric pump.
Wouldn't that be Could we not put it in the back of the building
The
to?
back of the house,
Yes.
there's no room for a septic system. The septic system has to run parallel to the contours of the ground. I can't go 90 degrees. Because
No.
the bottom of a leaching field has to be
Right.
level.
I don't think we're talking about the leaching field. We're asking
Oh,
if
the,
the tank and the
Oh,
pump can be moved
I-
outside of
I-
the regulated area.
if you'd like, I could put those most any place. I just thought that the front of the house,
No, thank you. That's very helpful.
Perfect.
Yeah,
That's all I
that is
just
very-
wanted to hear.
but
Very
my
helpful.
thinking on that was for maintenance to pump the tank every couple of years and to get quick access. I mean, the pump truck could do it right from the street.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
But that was my reason.
yeah, so, okay. So if this were, we're still, we got
Yeah.
more stuff to
Yeah.
go. But if somebody were to, if this were to get approved and one of the conditions was to move these to the back of the property, would the applicant have an issue with that?
No, we can fit it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's very helpful. Okay, thank you. Any commissioners, any other questions?
I may be missing it, but the proposed driveway, what material will that be made from over the
It's
wetlands
the
area?
bituminous driveway.
Pardon me?
The driveway would be paved. Yes. And that was part of the computation, the impervious area that was used in order to size the stormwater system, as it always is.
Thank you. Commissioners, any other questions?
I just have a question about this Brown Brook watershed.
Mhm.
So you're saying,
Uh,
move,
Are you holding the thing down?
am I holding it?
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
So with the Brown Brook watershed, with that drive, if we move this, we'd still have that driveway
Yeah.
that's in that area.
Yes.
Across the street from there, there is vegetation it's wet, there's
Yes.
visible water even now, and
Yep.
there is.
There's an
some
existing,
sewage.
there's an existing easement also over what you see on that neighbor's property.
Okay.
But we're not draining that way. We're not draining to the south. We're draining
But,
east to west.
but the driveway would drain into the street.
No, the driveway's going to drain into, there's a catch basin just before the garage. The driveway's going to drain into that yard drain. And that yard drain goes into the storm system, which is to the west of the house.
I thought you if the slope of the property runs from
East to
east
west,
west,
left,
then the
right.
driveway would not drain into the yard drain around the perimeter of the house. It would drain.
No,
west.
the elevations that are proposed, the driveway drains into that yard drain.
Okay, so it drains slightly north in that area.
Yeah,
that right?
yeah, it'll get to that yard drain, go around the house and into the storm system.
I just, also just curious, do you know if the landowner plans to develop the lot on the other side of the existing structure to the east? Just curious.
Develop,
Sorry, to the west. There's another
there's an existing house to the west.
side of that house. Do you have?
That's one lot. Then to the west of Mr. Suarez's property is existing house.
Just wondering, I'm just
There's
curious.
not another empty lot.
I only ask because once upon a time that there was a proposal for that entire property to be subdivided into 4 lots. So if to the west of the existing building, there is another empty lot. So it was at once upon a time, I believe, they were seeking a subdivision. So I was just wondering if you knew anything about
On our side or the south side of the,
it.
I don't, there's not another lot.
Okay.
The- Commissioner, go ahead, Commissioner.
You know, if we're talking about moving the septic tank and the pump station away from the protected area,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'd like to talk about moving the driveway also. The vast portion of the driveway is in the protected area. There's the opportunity to move it to the far right. There's even the opportunity to move it as a circular driveway through. Asphalt is going to cause, in my opinion, a significant water flow situation in that protected area. Is there the opportunity to move that?
If we put the driveway on the left side, we're still in that regulated area.
Put the driveway on the east side of the property, the right side of the property.
The reason I can't, or I don't want to, or I can't, is because the septic system needs to go above, 18 inches above spring high water. So those solid lines you see on the map represents fill.
Okay.
So the septic system would be, you know, above, or it'd be just notched into the ground about 6 inches, and then there'd be fill on top of it. So put the driveway, it's grade wise, it won't work out. Otherwise, the driveway would have to go up and down. It'd be like a roller coaster to get to the house.
Some of the commissioners here went and saw the property, and driving through that neighborhood,
Yep.
I noticed many properties that had, for the lack of a better word, pebble-style driveways. Is that something the applicant would consider, instead of having it an asphalt driveway, to have it where it's a bit more permeable?
Again, as I said, the stormwater system is based on that being paved. If it's not paved, my system would get smaller, which is, you know, which is good. But the reason we didn't, one reason is maintenance. They have not sure if a driveway was before your commission. There's a porous pavement that can be used also, not just stone. Not many people like just a stone driveway. It's hard to plow.
So,
They do have porous pavement where when it rains, the rain goes right through the pavement and into a sub base. And in the winter, when the sun comes out, the ice melts and the water goes under the driveway. But again, that's maintenance, because every year the driveway needs to be swept or vacuumed. And anything with maintenance, it's tough to get a homeowner to go on a regular basis and do maintenance. Whereas if it were a commercial lot or an industrial lot or something like that, that's, you know,
yeah.
it's
but
easier.
That's why this is the Inland Wetlands Commission,
No,
and not the zoning department.
You
So,
could
I'm-
require anything.
okay, I just want to be clear.
No, you have the bottom-
appreciate the work that you have to do, and all of you have to do for
Yep.
your applicant,
Mhm.
but we're here to protect the wetlands as best that we can.
Understood.
So if there's something that can get us either out of the 83 Brown Brook watershed, or make it to where it's a little bit more environmentally palatable, then would your client consider that pervious pavement, just so that we have the watershed and we have the water working the proper way, and not
Yeah.
having this this asphalt driveway for,
That shouldn't be a
Thank you.
problem. That shouldn't be a problem. And again, whatever the commission wants,
Okay.
I'm sure we can satisfy. But
Okay.
yes, we can get around that.
I
That's,
appreciate that. Yeah, thank you very much. That's appreciated. So,
you're welcome.
council, is there anything further, or any further?
Thank you, Mike. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to bring back up Mr. Kenny.
Thank you, council. Commissioner Fain, I think this is for you.
Thank you.
Thankfully, the staff was very well prepared. Bill Kenny again for the record.
Thank you, Bill.
And Sarah provided me with a map that she had redlined with the 4 different wetland boundaries that were mapped at this site. And as I was describing earlier, a property like this, you often end up with a lot of variation in mapping. Some sites, all the soil scientists put the line within a few feet, and other sites it varies. So I mapped the site twice, about 11 years apart, I think 2003 and 2014. Michael Klein mapped it in 1987. Is that right? Yep, 87. Or no, that was a different soil scientist mapped it in 87, and Michael Klein mapped it in 2004. My 2 lines in the area that's most important to this development, the boundary that is just north of the proposed development, my 2 lines are about midway between Michael Klein's line and the other soil scientist. Michael Klein had mapped the smallest amount of wetlands on the property, so his boundary was the northernmost line. And the other gentleman was further south of my line. So my 2 lines,
I apologize. The commissioners wanted to get up and, yeah.
Sure.
So they're just going to look at it.
and this is, so Michael Klein's line is right here, and the other soil scientist is here, and that's about 60 feet of difference. My 2 lines, here's the current line, here's my line from 2003. So my 2 lines are about 15 feet apart from each other here, but they're roughly, if you split the difference between my lines, it's about right down the middle between the other 2 soil scientists. So that being the area of most concern for this, that's the way it laid out.
Thank you.
Going to ask Bill for the record, for your professional experience regarding soil science mapping or wetland mapping, and then if you would affirm the delineation that you did in, I think it was, when was the last one you did?
Sorry, I'll push the button. When I returned to the property this summer to assess, inventory and assess the conditions of the wetland overall, I did reevaluate that line, and it remains my opinion that that line is the correct location for this application.
Thank you.
And I just want to say, and not speaking as a professional in this particular instance, I did visit the site, and I tend to agree that the most recent delineation is the most accurate for this property.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Chairman, in closing, you have heard the testimony of Bill Kenny stating there is no negative impact from the proposal on the inland wetland resources on site. The applicant again agrees with the staff recommendation for approval, including the proposed conditions. Connecticut case law, the Riverbend case 269, Connecticut 57, a 2004 case states that the ultimate question for the commission to decide is whether the proposed activity will cause an adverse impact to a wetland or a watercourse. I submit the record before the commission shows no adverse impact, request the application be approved. Mr. Kenny, Mr. Berterla, and I would be happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any members of the public, either here or online, that are here for in support of this application may now approach. Okay, barring none. Any members of the public here or online? If you're online, I think there's a way to wave or chat or let us know that you're there. But if you're here, if you're against this application, please come up to the podium and you can talk. Okay. Barring that, then I'll close. Yes, Commissioner.
Just want to raise it for the record. We did have a request, I think, that came in from the neighboring property to have the public hearing remain open. I think we've heard all the testimony we need to hear, but I don't know if
Okay.
the applicant wants to leave it open just in case, so there's no avenue for appeal. I'll just throw that out.
Well, that would be up to us. So if you'd like to keep it open till the next meeting, we may do so.
We had another instance
Yeah.
where that we did get, an appeal, and I think, I personally don't think we're going to gain any more information, but I think it might be a good idea to leave
Okay.
it open so we don't get into that.
Then very
Uh,
well, we will leave this, the public hearing will be closed, but then the public hearing will be continued, apologize, to next meeting. And if anything comes up between then and now, it'll be part of the record and the applicant will have the opportunity to discuss it. Otherwise, we can vote then if we so choose to do so.
Can I address that point, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman?
Yes.
First of all, I'm not available in 30 days, so it would move to November.
Oh.
Secondly, the fact of the matter is the concerns expressed in those letters have been pretty much rendered moot by Mr. Petrola's testimony. Water's not going to run uphill to 401 to Mine Hill. It's not going to go across the road to the property to the south because the flow is east to west. I mean, under the circumstances, given the testimony you've heard, I think it's very fair and reasonable under these circumstances to close the hearing, and that's what I request be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think we have anything to lose if we keep it open.
Okay, so we'll keep it open and if anything comes in, council will let you know. And if not, then we can vote on it when we so choose before the time limit runs out. Thank you. Okay, now back to public hearings, number 2. This is WP 22-222 Nastos 219 Ash Creek Boulevard, map 80, parcel 4A. Replacement of a portion of the east trunk sewer pipe within a regulated area. Decision may be made if the hearing is completed or the hearing may be continued. The original 35-day public hearing timeframe is completed. To complete the hearing ends October 12th, 22. A 65-day time extension may be provided by the applicant, so a further public hearing continuation to December 16, 2022 is possible. A potential continuation date is October 5th, 2022, and the staff recommends approval with conditions. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Bill Hurley, Town Engineering Manager, and I have here Mega Jane as well from our office. More importantly, though, we have the town's consultants, D&B engineers. They should be on the line. I'd like to introduce Adriana Restrepo and Kevin Nostis. As I said, they're the town's consultants for the project. And Adriana or Kevin, can you hear us?
I don't know if she can.
Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, we hear
Yes,
somebody.
yes, we
Okay.
can. Since it looks like we
Hi,
have-
how are you? Good evening, everybody.
Since we can hear you pretty good, Adriana, you and Kevin can start the presentation if you'd like.
Okay, good evening, everybody. We're bringing to the meeting the crossing of the wetlands to replace the 33-inch east sewer trunk. It's 300 linear feet, and it's going to be replaced within the same alignment. The excavation is going to be limited by the support of excavation, so about 7 feet of disturbance. Access is proposed to be coming from Ash Street Boulevard, and also from the west side. We have, we provided all the details for the restoration as it was completed in the previous project. So the restoration will be done as it was previously for the wetlands. Also, we received some of the requirements for the construction and the erosion control, as well as the desires of adding some additional trees and preventing or limiting the work during the breeding season for birds. And so I think, with this, if you guys have any questions about the project, then, go ahead, we're here.
Thank you very much. Commissioners, any questions?
When do you propose to begin site work?
So the project is expected to bid at the end of this month, and project will probably start by the end of November or December, depending on the bidding process and approval by the town.
Thank you. Any further questions, commissioners?
Is there any other issues that would preclude starting this winter, or if the bid process for whatever reason took longer than usual, would you then just begin as soon as that was completed? In other words, is there anything that would preclude you from beginning and ending this project in during the fall and winter months?
The project will extend through the spring and the summer season. It's estimated to take about a year after proceed after the contractor has submitted the shop drawings and revisions. So I guess that's something that we wanted to ask and see if there's any way to modify the restrictions or define the restrictions as far as construction activities. Since the project, from the moment it starts, it will have to proceed continuously.
Yeah, I'd like to just add, again, Bill Hurley from the Town of Fairfield Engineering Department. I'd like to just add that when we do the bid openings, there's a little bit of preparation time. You have to get all the certificates of insurance. You have to submit shop drawings, which D&B and the town will review. We'll probably start sometime, like Adriana said, maybe from December to March is when we'd start. And as she mentioned before, it's probably a 12 or 13 month total construction period. All the conditions, the town will agree to the specific conditions of approval. But we did just want to highlight that number 3 would be a little bit tough to meet, being that we have that kind of schedule. But a reminder that we always hold a pre-construction meeting with conservation staff. We will have a site monitor, and we will work with the staff as we go along the project to ensure that, again, every effort would be made to reduce any impact to number 3. The other question, or the other highlight I want to mention, is that the town has grant money and it's about to expire. That's not the fault of this commission by any means. It's more on the town's point. But so there is a little bit of a desire to start it as soon as we can before the grant money runs out. We've already asked for 2 extensions. So I just want
So just to be clear, the actual site disturbance to the wetland area may be in the springtime, or it's planning to be in the springtime.
Yes, that's correct.
And I think what you're also saying is that if you were to push that schedule forward, you would use the grant money. Is that correct?
It would extend the project, yes. And yes, there's a chance that we would lose the grant money because we've already done 2 extensions.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioners, any further questions from anyone? Okay. So this is a public hearing. Anything further, Mr.?
Again, I would just highlight that we're working with the Army Corps of Engineers. We're working with the LEP regarding the Metro Center.
Okay.
So we are working with those agencies as well.
Okay. Any members of the public, either online or here that are here to support this application, please come forward. Okay. Any members of the public here or online that are opposed to this application, please come forward. Okay, barring none. Again, public hearing. We can continue it, we can close it. Yes, Commissioner
I'll
Fain.
make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay, motion. Rick, seconds. All in favor to close the public hearing? Okay. We can vote on it now, or we have 35 days to vote on it now. So if somebody would like to make a motion to,
I'll make a motion to approve the project with the staff conditions. The only thing I wanted to point out on permit condition number 4, permit duration shall be 5 years. Tim, can you just check? I think Connecticut General Statute, I think they passed a law that extends wetland permits past that date, but other than that, I don't have any other issues.
okay. So Commissioner Fain has a motion. Anybody seconds? Peter seconds, okay. I guess all in favor? Aye, okay, all of us. Okay, very good. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, Roman numeral 6, applications for receipt. Map amendment application, O'Malley, 47 Quaker Lane, Assessors Map 128, Parcel 314, request to amend Town Map D-14 to remove inland wetland soil designation on site. Staff recommends scheduling a required public hearing for October 5th, 2022. Okay. All right. So
I'll move.
do I need a
that we
motion?
accept the
Yeah.
application.
So Jay's move to accept the application and for a public hearing, Jay, I guess? Yes?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think it requires a
Public
public hearing.
hearing.
to happen.
So second, Rick, seconds, all in favor? Aye, okay. Number 2, WP-22-258 Fairfield Housing Corporation, 980 High Street, map 77, parcel 340, construction of a 40-unit assisted multifamily affordable housing development within a regulated area. Application type is significant. Public hearing petition received. No, as of 8:30. Petition period ends 9/21. Well, I think this should be a public hearing too, but last day for public hearing or decision is November 11, 2022. Last regular meeting prior is November 2nd, 2022. Staff recommends scheduling a public hearing for October 5th or November 2nd, 2022. Any motion to accept and have a public hearing for that one? Dabney?
Motion to schedule a public hearing.
Okay. Second, Rick seconds.
Uh,
This one,
Just want to note that this was, I think, before the application, this agency before was somewhat controversial. I expect there would be a big turnout. You know, given the amount of work we have in front of us for October, maybe it should be better on the November agenda.
okay. So we'll put it on the November 2nd agenda. The next thing I didn't see it, I just saw it now, it says fee waiver requested. Is this a town project or is it a private developer?
It's a private developer.
Okay.
Just to piggyback on Jay's comment, I would encourage all of the commissioners to do a little background on this because it was before the commission a few years ago. It was denied. It went in front of the courts, and the courts upheld the conservation's decision, and now they are back. So it may save some of the commissioners' time to just do a little homework.
Okay. There's a fee waiver requested. Any, we can take that up now. There's a request for fee waiver. Any motion to grant the fee waiver?
I'll request that, make a motion that we deny the fee waiver.
Okay, second that. All in favor? Dabney? Okay, so it's unanimous for the fee waiver to be denied. Counsel, are you here on that? Oh, okay. This was, please feel free. Yeah.
Excuse me. If possible, I'd like to be heard on both the scheduling of the public hearing and also the fee waiver application.
Okay, sure. I apologize. I didn't see that you were here for this, but it really was just we're just receiving it today, so that was more administrative
Understood,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. And typically, we would not address the commission at this
Okay, sure.
juncture.
Go ahead. Yeah,
But if
please.
given the opportunity, we would like to. First of all, my name is Matt Studer. I'm an attorney with Bertram Moses PC with offices at 1221 Post Road East in Westport and 75 Broad Street in Milford. My colleague Brian Leclerc and I will have the pleasure of representing the Fairfield Housing Corporation with respect to this application. Attorney Leclerc cannot be here tonight. With respect to the scheduling of this application, we acknowledge and recognize that there will be a public hearing scheduled. We do not dispute that. We would simply request that the commission strongly consider opening the public hearing during its October 5th, 2022 regular meeting. The Fairfield Housing Corporation is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. It receives funding through HUD, the Department of Housing. There are certain deadlines associated with applying for and receiving the necessary grants and funding associated with this type of application. For that reason, we do also anticipate a fairly large turnout associated with this application. We would request that the public hearing be open during the October regular meeting as opposed to the November.
Counsel, one of the commissioners here just also mentioned that October 5th happens to be Yom Kippur, which is a holiday as well. So thank you for the comments. I don't mean to cut you off. I'll let you finish. But I would probably want as many people who want to be here, the opportunity to be here. And if it's a holiday, that might be an issue for some residents. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Understood, Mr. Chairman, and I may be mistaken on this front, but if there is a second regular meeting scheduled for October, again, we would ask that the public hearing on this application be opened as quickly as possible and as soon as possible.
Thank you.
And with respect to the fee waiver application, again, I point out that the Fairfield Housing Corporation is a tax-exempt corporation pursuant to 501c3 of the IRS code. Fairfield Housing Corporation has a sole owner, which is the Fairfield Housing Authority. The authority is a body public, corporate, and politic. It's a quasi public entity. It's created and operated pursuant to the general statutes. In this respect, it acts as the housing authority for the town of Fairfield. Its mission is to acquire, develop, manage, rehabilitate, and preserve affordable housing opportunities for the benefit of low and moderate income families and the elderly in the town of Fairfield. It receives its funding, as I mentioned, through the Department of Housing and Urban Development, as well as rental revenues from residents of the authority's other properties. It provides direct residence to the town of Fairfield, or direct services, housing services to the residents of Fairfield. Its past application, the fees associated with its past application were waived by this commission. And if the applicant's request for a fee waiver is denied, as we note in our application, fees that are allocated for services to be provided to Fairfield residents would have to be reallocated to cover the application fees here, which are over $11,000.
Thank you for your comments. And again, I apologize. I didn't realize you were going to make a statement that this part of the application process on the well, overall, unfortunately, we voted on both of those issues, and the fee waiver request was denied. And even if I were to ask for the public hearing to be November 2nd, I'm not comfortable with that. I'm sorry, to be moved from November 2nd to October 5th. I'm not comfortable because it's a holiday, and I would want it to be open to as many people as who possibly can be here. Thank you, Council.
Attorney Stucher, I just do have one question for clarification.
Yes.
Has the property changed ownership since the last time it came before this commission?
No, it has not.
Okay, so my recollection, although God knows, it's not that good these days, but was that it was a privately owned the last time it came before this commission. But now you're saying it's a 501c3?
Commissioner, it's my understanding that the property, the ownership has not changed. Fairfield Housing Corporation is a 501c3 tax exempt organization. As I've described, its mission is to provide affordable housing for low and moderate income families and the elderly in the town of Fairfield.
Okay, and that is the sole owner of the property.
I believe so. I can confirm that. We have Carol Martin, who is the executive director here tonight, who can address questions if I've misspoken.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Hi,
Thank
for the record, Carol Martin, Executive Director of the Fairfield Housing Authority. The applicant remains the same, and we meaning the Fairfield Housing Corp., which is the 501c3 development arm of the Fairfield Housing Authority, is fee simple owner. So there's been no ownership change.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Anything further, Council?
Nothing further.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Thank you. All right, now to Roman 7 bills and bond releases. Number 1, IWP 2015-16-11, SLD Development 2 LLC, 1571 Stratfield Road, construction of assisted living facility within a regulated area. Request of William Kenny Associates for final bond release of $18,800. um, I'm not familiar with this. Is it done?
Sarah could comment.
Yeah, I don't know if this is working. Okay. Yeah, everything was fine with that. We did a partial bond release last year, needed plants to grow in.
Okay.
And everything was fine now.
So it looks good?
Yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the bond release. Rick, Brian, all in favor to release the funds? Okay. I'm assuming Commissioner Fain, you said that was a yes? Okay, all right, thank you. Roman 8, legal enforcement actions. Number 1, continued show cause hearing, Janine Norwood, 120 Wakeman Lane, Southport, map 246, parcel 5C, clearing of wetlands, vegetation, and deposition of material within a wetland. Commissioner Hood, this is the one that we were talking about that had the 30-day and then the 90-day. That's already been recorded on land records. If you, I think we all got the email from our director that the soil engineers or somebody said that they need more time to do something. So somebody's out there doing something. They're just not coming here tonight. That's really it. Tim, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's correct. We received the email and prior phone call from Redness and Mead that is just confirmed that they are, work is in progress as far as the mitigation and design plans. Their intent is to develop those and schedule a site meeting with me
Okay.
in the next few weeks.
That's great. Keep us informed if that does happen. That'd be helpful.
Thank you.
All right, number 2 is Cynthia O'Malley, 47 Quaker Lane, map 12, parcel 318, filling, grading, landscaping of a mapped wetland and regulated area without a permit. Oh, hello.
Alexandra Mark, soil and wetland scientist, is here for the applicant. So as you know, we are making baby steps. So the first one is the map amendment, which we're going to have a public hearing scheduled for. But if you would like to give us any directions regarding the future application we have to file to resolve the violation, we'll be very appreciative.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions, comments?
Yeah, I wanted to go on the record with the flood hazard map for the property. This area that was filled is in a flood zone.
Okay.
I think that's an important consideration. Personally, I know that area. I worked on the Bull Manor ball field renovation. During that renovation, we had a major storm. The Bull Manor pond overflowed the ball fields. In that area behind those houses, a floodway, it was inundated with water. Filling in the flood zone obviously has detrimental impacts to other properties. So I'd like to see at least that addressed. It could be addressed by removing the fill. It could be addressed by a floodway study. It could be addressed in a number of different fashions, but I have real concerns about this. Whether it's a wetland or not, it's still a regulated area. And if it's not a wetland proper right there, there's a wetland within a few feet. So, this is what we do and this
Okay.
is what we need to look at.
Okay. So that's one comment that that might assist you in your preparations.
Would you be comfortable if I asks the neighbors and kind of depict the wetland area the closest to us? Because the wetland boundary is outside of our property. And I would say it's more than 35 feet. But I didn't flag the wetland. I just kind of walked there and took few samples, but it was not properly delineated. But if this would be helpful for the future discussion, we may.
Well, it looks like there's two things going on here. Tim, do you want to say anything, Tim?
Sure. In response to the violation, my initial direction was to take Ms. Mock's report under consideration with their determination that there were no on-site wetland soils in the, I can't think of which corner of the parcel at the southwest. I don't have a map in front of me. Southeast, in the southeast corner, if the filling did not occur in a wetland soil, then I said by regulation, a map amendment would be required. If approved and executed, that map amendment, since per Commissioner Fain's pointing out that the parcel is a regulated area based on offsite setbacks, then that would require the after the fact permit for the filling and other regulated activities in a regulated area.
Okay. Okay. So it probably would be best to deal with the amendment portion first, see where we come out from there, and then do an post fill type of permit application. Or Commissioner?
We have a flood and erosion control board.
Yes, we do.
Would this be within their jurisdiction?
I believe so, as well as the town planning and zoning has been notified.
Okay.
As
So,
they,
thank you.
Yeah.
Emmeline Harrigan, as the Assistant Director of TPZ, is also the certified flood manager for the town.
Now, should
Thank you.
we go to them? No, we shouldn't, right? Because you have to give them recommendations. Because I how this is going to be playing out with them because it is a flood zone and that's what they're going to be looking at.
That I don't know. We're really here for that one
Yeah.
unfortunate thing. But as a side, I don't think it'll hurt to go talk to them, but I don't know, I can't recommend that you do something before you do something else. There was a violation that our director saw, that
Right.
there some information that was presented to us that might indicate it's not wetlands, and we have to determine that with the information you're going to provide for us at the next meeting. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, number 3 is a show cause hearing, Lobo, ATL Builders LLC, 447 Stratfield Road, map 31, parcel 202, deposition, filling of material, disturbance of the natural and indigenous character of the land, ground disturbance, and conducting a regulated activity within a regulated area. So. Sorry. So Lobo ATL Builders LLC, 447 Stratfield Road. Please come forward. Yep, great. Please have a seat or whatever you're ever comfortable, and just press the little button that says push when we're talking. Great. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not sure what I'm supposed to say here other than my name, Maria Lobo, and I see that I've spoken with Mr. Bishop with regards to this before. When I bought this property back in June, I was told that one of the conditions was that I had to remove a gazebo and a pool. I had never seen a gazebo or a pool there. So, and that I had 60 days to do this. When I called the various departments, I ultimately spoke with Mr. Stans Cleary, who told me that I had to remove the gazebo and the pool, but I thought the pool was an above-ground pool. When I went to the property and noticed that it was an in-ground pool, I asked if the pool could be filled, and he said, yes, you could fill the pool because it was an in-ground pool. So we did that. My husband knew someone that was actually building a pool, I believe in Westport, and asked if he had some fill so that we could fill the pool that we had to do within 60 days. He brought some fill over, and I actually at some point spoke with, or my attorney called me and asked if that had been done. I said it has. So she said, did you call the town to see to let them know? And I said, no. I thought they would inspect that. The next person that I actually heard from was Mr. Bishop. I believe that there was the initial load that was brought there. I have not been to the property since, other than the time when I noticed that there was an in-ground pool there. At some point, there might have been another load brought to the property, but neither I or my husband had notice of this, or how much soil we needed to fill the pool. When I spoke with Mr. Bishop, he said that I needed to install a silt fence. And he had inspected the soil and he didn't notice any contamination. And that I could spread that soil. He also suggested that we should install a link fence or maybe a boulder to prevent maybe trespassers from possibly dumping materials there. Because when I spoke with him, I didn't know that another load had been dropped off. I spoke with Matt Decker yesterday. He said that he would put a freeze on it until he hears from the surveyor, because we had already contacted the Huntington company to do a survey on the property, but they're so busy that they won't be able to do anything until October. So that's where we are now.
Okay. You did get our director, Tim Bishop's letter, and it had things that you could or should do. Did you have that letter? The cease and desist letter? Okay. Have you addressed any of the items that are on that letter? Okay. Mhm. Right. And I'm also aware that you mentioned the second load that you might not be aware of, that either our director here or some other individual had made him cognizant of the fact that that second load was there, and then that load was spread. So I just want to, it's not, I'm getting the feeling you're not sure why you're even here. So I want to be, okay. Okay. So you are extremely close to a body of water. Your property is really close to a body of water. This agency, this commission, tries to do what it can to protect that body of water for the betterment of the entire town and everywhere else. There's a fear that there could be some contamination in the dirt you brought from somewhere else there, and then that could leach into that body of water. So I think it prudent for you to speak to either your attorneys or your surveyors or somebody who can help you to, at the very least, get some soil samples to find out what kind of dirt's there and if it's contaminated or not, at the very least. And maybe show them the letters that Director Bishop has provided to you, okay? Commissioners, any other questions, comments?
So is it a vacant lot? What's your intention with the lot? For yourself or, no, okay.
That's fine, good. It's, but when you do that, you gotta know what these things that you gotta do.
And just out of curiosity, when you purchased the lot, you hadn't seen it. You were just told by somebody that you had to get rid of the gazebo in the pool? And who told you initially that the pool and the gazebo had to be removed within 60 days?
Ma'am, can you press the button when you're talking, because we need to record this?
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I believe this was a foreclosure and there was a blight condition there. Someone in the town, maybe the health department, was imposing some fees upon the lot. And my attorney asked me if I was willing to pay those fees. I think it was about $30,000 or $32,000. And I said, no, no deal. So somehow that was handled. And the reason why those fees were imposed was because supposedly the gazebo and the pool were there, but you couldn't see the gazebo or the pool from the road. That was,
Okay, so you have an attorney that helped you with this transaction, correct? Okay, so I think that it would be prudent for you to contact your attorney and go over the recommendations that Mr. Bishop has made. And it doesn't sound like this was intentional. Sounds like you just didn't really fully understand what you were getting yourself into, which is fine, and that happens here, and we're somewhat sympathetic to that. But it's also our job to protect that water course. So I would review the letter with your attorney, and then we can go from there.
okay, thank you. So the fact that I've already contacted the Huntington company and they're going to be doing the survey and
I want to be clear. A survey does one thing. A survey maps what the land is. That's part of what we're looking for, but we need additional information. If you give, whether it's the Huntington Company or like Commissioner Bowen said, your attorney, the letter from our director, Bishop, they will understand what that means. There's a few more things you need to provide for us.
Are you referring to the soil?
Soil is one of them. Yeah, soil is one of them, and there's got to be a soils analysis. There's things that need to be done.
If I could also suggest, looking forward, there was a building, obviously on the property at one time. You know, I think Mr. Bishop is questioning what soil is in the swimming pool, but looking for the future, you may also want to inspect the entire lot to see what had happened before you purchased it, before your arrival.
And you'll have to do that as a part of your application to build a new home anyway. And what happened to the gazebo? And where was that taken? Where was that debris taken? To the dump? Okay.
Sorry, I thought it was an above ground pool originally, but the lining was removed. And then we were told that we could fill the pool. That was one of the conditions.
Tim?
For the record, there is a valid permit to construct a single-family home.
Okay.
So that is in place.
Like Commissioner Bowen said, I think it's just simply an innocent misunderstanding of what should have been done, and maybe your contractors, whoever's helping you, should have told you. But I think if you get you already have the help between your surveyors and your attorney. I think you can resolve this pretty quickly.
I have every intention of applying
Yeah.
for all the permits.
Mhm.
It's just that my husband is finishing up another house that we have a deposit on already.
Yeah.
And so he's been so busy trying to finish that up that we haven't had an opportunity to even begin to do anything with this property.
Okay. Commissioner Hood?
But I am concerned for what Rick said. If a house was torn down, it would have been a house with lead paint in it. So that there are remnants of that could be in the soil. The other concern I have is you said you brought in a lot of new soil. It's incredibly loose. I went all the way to the back and I was sinking on a dry day. I mean, it was like I was up to my ankles. I don't know much about soil, but it was so loose, it was powdery. And this is literally within feet of dropping off into the river. So I have real concern about what that dirt, I don't have any knowledge of what you're supposed to bring in terms of fill.
Right.
But I would presume that that's not it, because a significant rainfall is going to be disastrous there because it's like dust.
I have not been there. So the only time that I was there was when I was told that there was a gazebo there and the pool, and that part in the back that I believe you're speaking about, I didn't think it was part of the lot.
Yeah, so I'm presuming I walked over the pool. I don't know where it was, but a little creepy. But I think you need to work on what you bought. Because again, I don't know anything about dirt, but it didn't seem what I would regard as kind of material you'd want to use for fill.
And just as just to offer this, this commission and our department is here to help you. And we have another case very similar to this where it was really just, the gentleman she just didn't know. And so I don't want you to think that we are badgering you. We're just here to do a job, and we're here to help you understand how we can work together to accomplish that.
Yeah. I'll badger you Push the button down, please.
No, I just wanted to say I want that everybody's been very helpful in the town. Every time I call, I'm the ignorant one that.
No, it's
that-
okay. And we don't, not everybody understands, you know, what the regulations are, but I do think that it would be prudent for you to discuss this with your attorney, not because you're in any kind of legal trouble, but because your attorney will help you understand what is involved to satisfy this commission, but also if you intend on building a house in the future, what that will involve as well. And there's some overlap there in terms of soil testing and things of that nature. So,
Thank you.
Yes, Tim.
Just for the record, my discussions over the phone with Ms. Lobo, she, in between the issuance of the notice of violation and the cease and desist order, she did comply and install the silt fence for protection of the adjacent Rooster River watercourse and wetlands. My concern, in addition to the existing soil piles that were spread and distributed that I requested the soil testing for, I also requested in the C and D letter that the site be secured to prevent any additional soil from arriving on site. So we had discussed blocking that entrance either with a mobile chain link fence, posts and chains, rocks, something to prevent this from continuing while the site is idle. You know, piles that show up on site that are dumped illegally aren't usually the kind of material that, you know, if people could have sold it or brought it somewhere for a good use, they would have. So the fact that they're being dumped is a red flag for me. And that's why I'd like to make sure that's prevented in the future as soon as possible.
Ma'am, is that something that you can do? Talk to your husband, talk to whoever's helping you guys to block that?
I don't know how big the boulders that are there, if they, but there's only the entrance, the driveway. So if one of those boulders is placed by the driveway, is that okay?
Just to be clear, the pile she's referring to, if you haven't seen it, is 10 to 15 cubic yards of you know, two-man boulders that's on site, as she stated, for future retaining an stone wall on the frontage along Stratfield. I would be fine with, since there is a large excavator there, be fine with relocating partial portions of that pile of large stones in the driveway area to prevent dump trucks and whatnot from
I think that's the
from
goal.
depositing.
Per-
So
Preventing any dump trucks, any type of machinery, not just a car, something that's taller, so it cannot go back there.
and also to prevent illegal dumping.
Illegal dumping is very common.
And please don't hesitate to call the department if you need any further help. I know that they will want to help you, so.
So we'll probably put this on the next month's agenda just to keep an eye on it. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so we'll, because it was a notice of violation with a cease and desist order, we have to see if what our director did was correct or not. And now it's up to the commissioners. I'll have a motion to uphold the cease and desist order.
I'll move to uphold the cease and desist order.
Any second? Okay, all in favor? Aye, okay. So just to explain what just happened, we had to see if what our director did was right or not right. Was he wrong? Not yet. And we agree with him, but we're going to help you do what we got to do. Okay? Thank you. Well, no, it's not that. It's not that. Yes. Rick. That's it. Thank you very much. All right. All right, so we have 9 staff reports from the Conservation Department. CWC permit applications received 20. Notice of violations issued 2 and bonds released 4. And Tim, do you want to talk about those, or is it just for us for information purposes?
Those are just for information purposes at this point.
Okay. And then 2 would be site walks for August, A 47 Quaker Lane and 980 High Street. Do you think we'll have conservation this month?
I'm not anticipating a meeting at this point.
Do you want to use that date for site walks? Unless that's a holiday too. I know it's a big holiday month. '21st. Yes, it's a Wednesday. Wednesday, the 21st at 6:30? Okay. Yes, yeah, yeah. Okay. Other, the special meeting?
Correct. You want to talk about that?
Sure, why not? Okay. So we really can't get together without noticing a special meeting. And I thought it would be nice, Tim and I discussed it, maybe some of you, and we would discuss it just to quickly get together for a happy hour type of thing, but we have to notice it. No business will be discussed, but you know, if that's something you guys would like to do, just maybe we can do by email a good date and then a place, and you know, that'd be something I think that would be fun. Okay. That's right.
Just a post summer, post Labor
yeah,
Day type of
right.
thing in town.
That'd be perfect. All right, we'll figure that out. All right,
I'll send
that's
an
it.
email.
Adjourn.
To adjourn.